On screen, Glenn Ford embodied the image of the everyday Hollywood man, but off-screen his life was anything but ordinary. From serving in World War II to his countless Hollywood romances, Ford's life was filled with dazzling success and deep heartbreak. Yet through it all he carried a secret, one so carefully guarded that even his closest friends and lovers never knew. Glenn Ford was born Gwilyn Samuel Newton Ford on May 1st in Quebec, Canada. His childhood was far from harsh. His father, a railroad executive, had connections to powerful figures, including a Canadian Prime Minister and an American President. While many Canadian children endured brutal winters, Ford's father soon secured a job in California, relocating the family to Santa Monica. That move would place Glenn on the path to Hollywood stardom. From an early age, Ford was drawn to the stage. He acted in school plays and after graduation, joined local theater groups to refine his craft. At first he worked as a stage manager, until he realized actors earned nearly 10 times as much. That was all the motivation he needed. Determined to pursue acting full-time, he still took his father's advice to learn a trade. Before breaking into film, he worked as a roofer, window installer, and bartender, skills that would prove unexpectedly useful later in life. Ford's rise to fame was largely a matter of timing. Columbia Pictures head Harry Cohn wanted to build his own roster of stars, rather than relying on cast-offs from larger studios. Frugal and calculating, Cohn sought attractive, talented unknowns who could be signed cheaply. Glenn Ford was exactly what he wanted. Ford became one of Columbia's first homegrown stars, but Cohn didn't hand him success. Instead, he signed another young actor, William Holden, and pitted them against each other, assuming scandal would eventually sink one of them. Instead, Ford and Holden became close friends, and neither succumbed to trouble. Ford's film debut in the 1939 drama Heaven with a Barbed Wire Fence should have been triumphant. Instead, director Ricardo Cortez relentlessly bullied him. Publicly berated as a terrible actor, Ford was humiliated and discouraged, briefly leaving Hollywood. Years later, after finding success, he nearly attacked Cortez when they crossed paths in Los Angeles. Ford's temper was as real as his screen persona. Despite setbacks, Ford kept working through forgettable B-movies until a breakthrough arrived. In 1940, he starred in The Lady in Question alongside Rita Hayworth, a rising star. Their chemistry was undeniable, and though Columbia had sought a scandal-free leading man, Ford quickly built a reputation as a ladies' man. He began simultaneous affairs with Hayworth and co-star Evelyn Keyes. Director John Cromwell then cast him in So Ends Our Night, a bold anti-Nazi drama released before the U.S. entered the war. The film was a landmark moment in Hollywood, and Ford's performance impressed even President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who arranged a private screening at the White House and invited Ford to his birthday ball. Though critics praised his acting, Columbia again squandered the momentum, giving him mediocre roles that stalled his rise. Still, Ford used his earnings to buy his mother and sister a house in Pacific Palisades. Then came a turning point: military service. In 1941, he joined the Coast Guard Auxiliary. After Pearl Harbor, he promoted war bonds where he met and fell for actress Eleanor Powell. During the filming of Destroyer, he impulsively enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve, leaving Columbia scrambling to finish the film. Just as impulsively, he proposed to Powell, who retired from acting to support him. At Marine Corps training, Ford refused special treatment, earning his way to the rank of sergeant. But his military career was cut short when ulcers left him hospitalized for months. Though he never saw combat, he earned 3 medals for his contributions on the home front. Returning to Hollywood, Ford finally broke through in 1946 with Gilda opposite Rita Hayworth. The film became a noir classic, cementing Ford as a leading man. Behind the scenes, however, he and Hayworth began a passionate affair, despite both being married. Furious, Harry Cohn even bugged their dressing rooms, though sympathetic sound engineers tipped them off. Ford learned from the experience, later applying such tactics himself in disturbing ways. His reputation as a womanizer grew, but Ford wasn't immune to heartbreak. While filming The Green Glove in France, he fell hard for Geraldine Brooks. When she rejected him, he spiraled, drinking heavily and nearly joining the French Foreign Legion before being stopped by a co-star. This reckless streak only deepened over time. In 1955, Ford starred in Blackboard Jungle, a groundbreaking drama that not only revitalized his career, but also introduced rock and roll to mainstream cinema. Director Richard Brooks had overheard Ford's son playing Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock and used it in the soundtrack. The film became a cultural milestone. By then, Ford's marriage to Powell had collapsed. Tired of his affairs, she waited until their son Peter was old enough to choose custody, then filed for divorce. Ford distanced himself from both mother and son, begrudgingly paying alimony while embracing bachelorhood. His affairs became legendary. He was linked to Gene Tierney, Joan Crawford, Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, Debbie Reynolds, Bridget Bardot, and many others. Yet his connection with Rita Hayworth endured, even after multiple marriages and divorces. At one point, Ford even moved next door to her during her fifth divorce, their on-again, off-again bond lasting decades. Professionally, Ford remained strong through the 1950s, excelling in westerns and thrillers. But the 1960s brought box office failures like Cimarron and the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. His second marriage to actress Katherine Hayes lasted only 3 years. Lonely and restless, he turned to hobbies, including backyard farming, until his growing flock of chickens caused chaos in Beverly Hills and police forced him to stop. Ford's ties to the military endured. During the Vietnam War, he worked on training films and documented missions in combat zones, earning additional medals. In the 1970s, he transitioned to television, though with limited success, until his poignant role as Jonathan Kent in Superman, 1978, gave him renewed recognition. Later marriages and engagements failed quickly, leaving him increasingly isolated. By the 1990s, poor health forced him into seclusion, though Hollywood honored him with tributes. He planned to attend a 90th birthday celebration but grew too ill. Just 4 months later, on August 30, 2006, Glenn Ford died at home in Beverly Hills, aged 90. After his death, shocking revelations emerged. His son Peter published Glenn Ford, A Life, based on Ford's diaries and secret recordings. The book revealed Ford had affairs with at least 146 actresses, including a decades-long entanglement with Hayworth that once resulted in a secret abortion to avoid scandal. Even more disturbing, Ford had wiretapped his own wife's phone during their marriage and continued recording conversations for 40 years. His archives included taped calls with lovers, Hollywood legends like Frank Sinatra and John Wayne, and even U.S. Presidents Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon. The recordings, unknown until after his death, stunned Hollywood. Among Ford's belongings, auctioned in 2008, was a couch his son claimed had once hosted an encounter with Marilyn Monroe. His estate revealed a lifetime of memorabilia, secrets, and indulgences. Glenn Ford's life was one of fame, romance, and hidden scandals. His final years were marked by loneliness and declining health, but his legacy as one of Hollywood's most versatile and enduring leading men remains secure. His story, filled with charm, controversy, and secret obsessions, continues to fascinate,